everybody. Welcome to the EdTech Smoothie. I'm Jake, and today we're going to go through the basics of Autocrat. Autocrat, if you don't know, is an add-on for Google Sheets, and it's one of my favorite things to use. I, no kidding, probably have almost 20 separate Autocrat jobs set up at any given time, running in the background for all sorts of different things. One of the most common things that people want to use it for is to send out certificates. So if you don't know what Autocrat is, basically it's do you remember back in the day when mail merges were a thing and you would have like Excel and Microsoft Word and you need to run mail merges to get labels and stuff like that? This is a version of that, except friendly with Google tools. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's take a look right here. I just have an example Google Sheet. So remember, Autocrat is an add-on for Google Sheets. So you need to have a Google Sheet set up. I just have a very basic one set up. Has the timestamp, has an email address, has names, has the name of a course, and the date of completion. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that Autocrat is installed. And you do that through add-ons. So I'm going to click on add-ons. Now I already have it installed. If you don't, you're just going to go to Get Add-ons right down here, and you will search for Autocrat. Hey, look, it's so popular it pops up right there, but if it doesn't, you can search for it in the apps bar, Autocrat. There it is. When you click here, you'll have a install button. Mine says uninstall because, you guessed it, I have it installed already. So I'm just going to close out of this. Once you have it installed, you will launch it from the add-ons menu. It'll show up right here, and you will click on launch. Now, before I do that, here's the thing about Autocrat. You should have everything prepped before you actually launch the Autocrat add-on. So what I mean by that is you have your sheet, but then you also have the template that it is going to print that sheet to. So what I mean by that is if I'm going to use this sheet to drive a certificate, I should have that certificate created. You can create the template inside a Google Doc or inside a Google Slides presentation. I've gone ahead and done it as a Google Slides presentation already, so I'm just going to jump in here and show it to you. So when my recipients get their certificate, this is what I want it to look like. I have all the wording. I've just entered this all as text. The only thing you need to pay particular attention to and be especially careful with are your tags. And when I say tags, I'm talking about the specific way that you're going to get the information from the table into your template. So you'll notice this is all just regular text, but then when I get right here, I've got these double carets on either end with a big word that says name. And that matches exactly the column header in my table. You see that? So it's all caps, has to match exactly. Now it doesn't have to, you can actually point it if you want to later on, but if you want it to do everything automatically for you, make it match exactly. So there I have name. It's formatted in caps with double brackets. I want to have the course name as well, so I made sure to match that exactly to the column header in my sheet. Same with date of completion. I want the date of completion, so it matches exactly the column header in my Google Sheet. Once you have that in there, you can format this however you want. The way that this tag is formatted will dictate how the text is formatted when it is sent to that person. So when this gets sent to Ed Smooth, it'll actually look like this. And it'll look like that because the tag is formatted with that font and that size, etc. So if I made this tag, if I wanted it to be a different color, if I wanted it to be red for some reason, when this is sent out, it will have the name. It'll look just like that. Make sense? The formatting carries over. So anyway, you need to have your template saved, and you need to remember what it's called. So I did all of this first. I'm going to jump back into my sheet. So I've got my sheet with my information, even though I only have one row, but you can imagine that it's as many rows as you want. And so now I'm ready to get into the nuts and bolts of Autocrat. So I'm going to go add-ons, Autocrat, launch. It'll take just a minute to spin up. All right, this is what it should look like. It says no merge jobs set up yet. So a nice little path pointing right down here to new job. So I'm going to create a new job. This is a new merge on this sheet. We're going to give it an example name. I'm going to call this certificate merge and go next. And this is where you have to choose your template. Remember, you have to choose the template that you set up. So I'm going to choose from my Google Drive. And this is pretty good about popping up the most recent file. So if I'm lucky, it'll show up right there. There it is, Autocrat example template. So I'm going to point it there and click on, yep, let it do its little thinking. Currently selected template is pointed to what I wanted. It's this one right here. So I'm going to go next. And here, remember how I said match the things in your template exactly to the column names? And this is why. You can see that it's looking at the correct tab of my sheet, Autocrat example form responses. You can leave these drop-down boxes alone for right now. But you'll see this is the tag that's in my template, and this is what it matches to in the column. See, it's matched it because it's exactly right. It did date of completion too. But if you'll notice, course name is what I have in my template. And course title is what I have in my sheet. So it didn't match it exactly, and it gives you a little red flag. That's okay. I can just click right here and choose which column to map it to. So course name matches to course title. Once you have your matches selected, I'm going to go next. File settings. Okay. So when it's talking about file settings, this is what the exported certificate will be called. So I'm going to call this awards certificate. And this is great, except if I run this on a sheet of 20 different rows of information, it's going to make 20 files all called awards certificate. And there's no way to find them all to tell the difference between them inside your Google Drive. So the neat thing is here, you can notice it says right here, the Autocrat can use the tags. Remember the tags from our template? You can use that inside the title here too. So I'm going to call it award certificate, double caret, name, double caret. And then I'm even going to put a course title. And now when it saves this file and sends it to whoever it's being sent to, it will append their name and course title on it. It'll be a little easier to dig through when I get into my Google Drive later. This box is how do you want to share it? Do you want to send the Google slide to them? You can. It'll be a Google slide then. I prefer to change this to PDF because most people, when they're getting certificates, just want to print them out. You can leave these buttons. Click on next. All right, this is where all of those PDFs are going to be saved. So you're going to choose the folder it's going to be saved to. If you want them all to be saved into your root drive, you can just save them right there. I'm going to leave it there for right now, just for the sake of this example. But if I was doing this for real, I would point this at a subfolder specifically for keeping all of those certificates. Next. Dynamic folder references. Those are something for later. Skip them now. Merge conditions. Also something for later. Skip it for now. Share docs and send emails. This is where the power comes in, because by default, it will keep those PDFs inside my drive, but that doesn't do me any good. I'm not the one who needs their certificate. The teacher is the one who needs the certificate. So I'm going to click on, yes, I want to share the doc with them. We're going to share it as a PDF. Do you want them to be able to reshare it again? It doesn't really matter with a PDF, but if it was a Google slide, you can choose. I'll choose no. My favorite little button right here, send from generic no reply address. This means that when it sends that doc, it won't come from your email. It'll say no reply at whateveremail.com, right? So I'm going to choose yes, send it from a no reply address. And then this is your example email message. And we can use the tags. Remember those double carets? You can't see me. I'm doing it with my fingers. I'm making the double carets thing. We can use the double carets inside here. So I don't want to type my email address here. If I type my email address here, it's all going to be emailed to me every single time. I want to email it to the people who I've listed. So I'm going to send it to using the tag email address. That way, when this runs, it'll get sent to whichever email address is in that column. We're going to type in a subject. Here's your certificate. It can be whatever you want it to say. And then here is your message. You can use tags there too. So I'm going to say something along the lines of, hello, name. I can type, congratulations on completing the course. Course title, exclamation point. You will find your certificate of completion attached. So now when this sends, it'll send the same thing, but it'll have their name and it'll have the title that of the course they completed. Next, add remove job triggers. Now this is important. I'm actually going to come back to this in just a minute. So right now we're just going to click save. You can leave those set on off. I'm going to click save. It'll say it's saving the job certificate merge. Okay, so it is saved. And now you can see my job certificate merge is saved here in my Autocrat thing. And it will be there forever. So if I X this off, now I'm back in my sheet. If I go back to add-ons, Autocrat, launch, it will launch again, and I'll see my certificate merge saved as something I can do. And whenever I'm ready to run all of these certificates, remember maybe I have 10 or 20 in there, all I have to do is click on the little play button. So I'm going to do that now. And when I run the job, you'll see it creates a couple new columns across the top. You want to leave those. Don't get rid of them. Leave those columns. And it will go through its little thing here. So we're just going to let this run. It only had one to run, so it ran pretty quick. And then what's cool is whatever email address you sent this to, that is where you can check certificates. So I have access to this email, so I'm just going to jump in there real quick and take a look. All right, so here we go. From no reply. If I open this up, it says, hello, there's that email I typed in, remember? Hello, Ed Smooth, congratulations on completing the course Autocrat Basics. You'll find your certificate of completion attached, and when we open up this PDF, check it out. There it is, and you can see that it's got the name, it's got the course, and it's got the completion date. Check that out. So pretty cool, right? Let's jump back to the box. Okay. So that's handy, but let's imagine that I don't want to have to come in here and click this play button every single time that somebody completes a course. I just want it to do it automatically, right? So let me jump back into edit. And this is where we're going to talk about triggers. So trigger warning. Anyway, let me let this finish loading. And we're going to jump to the end just by going next. Sometimes Autocrat has to do a lot of thinking and it takes a minute. So we're just going to patiently wait. Okay, we already did this. So I'm just going to go next, all the way back down here to triggers. All right, so triggers are things that happen automatically. I would like this to run automatically every day, like every couple hours or so. So I can run on the time trigger. I can click on yes. Yes, I have to enable it, so click on yes. So you can see that now you have the choice to choose how often you want to run that job automatically without you doing anything. So I'm just going to leave it on 6 hours, but my preferred way is actually to set up a form trigger, and that's right here. So I'm going to click on yes for form triggers. What a form trigger is going to do is, if you have this sheet, if you're getting responses into this sheet from a Google form, like I am, then every time that form is filled out, Autocrat is going to run in the background. So I'm going to click on save real quick. And while this is doing its little thing, I'm going to show you the form. So here's the form that I'm using to drive this Google sheet. Right? It's right here. So it's just an example form. I've got all of the questions. You should, if you don't know how Google Forms and Sheets work kind of together, that's something for another conversation. But you can see that in my responses, I've got my responses pointing at this sheet, right? So every time someone fills out this form, I get a column in this, or a row added in this sheet. So I've got this set up to run automatically now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to fill out this form and you'll see what happens. So if I go to the form. I jump into preview mode and act like I'm filling out information. This is what you would do if, like, okay, Johnny or Ed completed his course, so I'm just going to jump in there and mark him as complete. So before I fill this out with some examples, I want to go back into my template. And I'm just going to change something real quick, just so that we can see that this is the updated one that gets sent. I'm going to make this red. This way, I don't know, you don't have to just trust me that it didn't send the same one twice. It'll have a new, some new stuff in the template. Okay, so let me jump back in. So I'm going to add the email address, which is EdTech @gmail.com. The name is Smooth. And course title. Let's put a different course title instead of Autocrat Basics. We'll say using form triggers. And they completed. Let's say that this was. So now we're going to click submit. Thank you. Been reported. You'll notice, boom, it got added automatically, right? And then look at that. The job is starting automatically in the background. I didn't have to do anything to it. It's just doing its thing. So we're going to let that run for just a second. And this will happen even if you do not have this sheet open. I only have it open right now so that we can look at it as an example. But this will happen behind the scenes without you having to do anything. So there it ran. And if we jump back into the email again, there's the updated one that ran all by itself just for me entering the information on the form, which is pretty handy if you ask me. So anyway, those are the real basics of Autocrat. As a reminder, you should have your template built before you run or before you set up the Autocrat job. So build your template out first, use the carets, the double brackets to dictate your column headers. Make sure they match exactly to make your life nice and easy. And then launch Autocrat and set up the job like we went over. And make sure you turn on those form triggers if you want it to send automatically. There's more kind of fancy in-depth stuff with Autocrat, but we'll talk about that at a later time. These have been the basics. So anyway, if you want more tips and stuff like that, go ahead and click that subscribe button down there. I don't know, wherever it's at underneath the screen. But subscribe and you'll get notified of whenever I post other tips and tricks. All right. Cheers.